Good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to welcome you to the groundbreaking ceremony for the Southampton African American Museum. It has been a very long and tedious road to this point, but thank God for perseverance. And when I think about the struggle, it was even more vivid to me last weekend when I visited my father's homestead in a small little country town of Ruffin, South Carolina. And to listen to the stories of my relatives and people from that community that led so many people from the South, our relatives, to the East End of Long Island. They came as migrant workers, they came as domestic workers, they came and did whatever they needed to do to make ends meet for their families. They came to have a better life. And at this point in time in our country, all I can say is, wow, history is really repeating itself. A different group of migrants, immigrants, coming to this country, even to this community, to make a better life for themselves and their families. This was once the gathering place for the wave of African Americans that came from the South. They came here. It was a beauty parlor and a barber shop, and I'm so delighted to have Mr. Randy Conquest's wife here with us today, who was the barber in the barber shop and who mentored so many other young men in the skills of barbering who have now gone on to have their own shops. And that's what community and family is all about. So when I think about the families that came here to make a better life, worked at jobs that others would not work at because it was important for them to make a better life for their families. They started out working on potato fields, being domestic workers, being the aides in hospitals, to becoming businessmen of their own, nurses in the hospitals, and owning their own businesses, such as the beauty shop and the beauty parlor. We have people that were not allowed to be in the fire department to now be assistant chiefs. We have people who were not allowed to be policemen to now be detectives. So we have come not to be taken care of by the community, but to be an active and productive part of the community over the years. And we have done that. And that is what the new wave of people who are coming for better lives want to do as well. So it's been a balancing scale. Brenda said, write something down, you're so good at it. I couldn't write anything down because there was so much going on in my heart and my mind about the state of our country today. And I say that this is going to be a meeting place and a gathering place for the community. Our community is now diverse. So we're going to share our history with the new members of our community, and they can share ours, and that is what is going to make the village of Southampton a bigger and better and stronger community of people. We are one of family, one who have the same needs and the same wants for our children. So we want this to be the gathering place of our new and diverse community where all are welcome, where all are loved, and all are cared for. So I am so proud that we are to this point to have the Southampton African American Museum breaking ground, because it's breaking ground to make this a better place for all in this wonderful, beautiful place of the Hamptons. So without further ado, I'm going to read you our mission statement, and then I'm going to introduce our speakers for today. Our mission: to promote an understanding and appreciation of African American culture by creating programs that will preserve the past, encourage learning, and enhance the life of the community. SAM will research and collect local history, produce media events, create exhibits, and community celebrations. SAM will treasure the past, tend to the present, and transform the future. Today, we're so happy to have with us several people who have been so instrumental, thank you, in helping us get to this point today. And also someone who has come on board in our political stream here as our new mayor, who also has been supportive to us. And after they finish, Brenda will come forth and she will acknowledge some other people who have truly been backbones in this effort. So coming in this order will be Assemblyman Fred Thiel, who I'm so happy to have had the pleasure to work with him as a parent because I was blessed to have two of his children in my classroom. Supervisor Jay Snyderman, and Southampton Village Mayor Michael Irving. So thank you again for coming, and thank you for everything you have done for us thus far.
Well, first of all, thank you. And Nancy was my children's kindergarten teacher, and as we all know, you never forget your kindergarten teacher. It's your first exposure to school, and thank you, Nancy, for all of the great work, not just for my kids, but for the great work you've done in education, the years of dedication that you had as a school teacher, and we still remember you in the Sag Harbor School District, so thank you. You know, it's a pleasure to be here today, and you know, if you want to know why I'm here, it's because nobody can say no to Brenda. That's why, I think that's why we're all here, and you know, it shows you the importance of persistence. There were 100 times with this project where there was not a bump in the road, but it seemed like a brick wall across the road where people could have given up and said, well, we tried. We tried to do the best we can for an African American museum and to turn that virtual museum into a real place, a real museum. But Brenda and the rest of you, the rest of this community, never gave up, kept fighting, found a way after looking at so many different options to get this done. And quite frankly, you know, Brenda, everybody contributed, but Brenda, you deserve a big round of applause. Thank you for... So, you know, this has been a partnership, a public-private partnership, different levels of government. The Community Preservation Fund on the town and village level, a grant from the state of New York to cover the things that the Community Preservation Fund couldn't cover. And you know, this week, when this was finally happening, you know, newspapers started calling up and saying, well, why is this important? Well, it's important for a number of reasons, but first and foremost, you know, we need to know our history. And we go to school, whether it's Pearson High School or Southampton, and we learn American history, we learn world history, but oftentimes we don't get to know our own local history and what happened locally. I think there's one year, I think it's 8th grade, where they teach New York State history. You get a little bit of your local history, but you don't get to know your local history. And this is local history. And not only that, but history sometimes takes a very narrow focus as to what is considered to be history. This project, this museum, this organization makes sure it's inclusive. All of the history of our community, you know, African Americans, migrant workers, people that helped to build the town of Southampton, helped to build the village of Southampton, the East End. We're going to tell their history through this museum. So congratulations. I know the work still needs to get done, but it's a big deal to get to the point today when we're putting shovels in the ground. Congratulations to everybody. Thank you.
Well, it is nice to be here, and Nancy, thank you for your words. And it is true, we try to be helpful, but as Fred said, it's really, we don't want to get in Brenda's way. You know, when she has a dream, all you want to do is help make that dream possible, or else, right? So no, she's been great in so many different things that she's been involved in to bring back the history. Because if you don't learn your history, it's likely to repeat itself, right? And we're seeing that in many ways. So, you know, I'm happy to have been a part of this. It is really, although we're one human family, it is that diversity that makes us a beautiful family, right? It makes us stronger. Diversity makes us who we are. And this is a place to celebrate the contributions of the African American community, you know, often forgotten, too forgotten. And there's, you know, if you can go back in time to this spot, there was a lot going on here. New people coming to the north, freed slaves, indentured servants coming here to start a new life of freedom. It was scary to be an immigrant in a new land. Coming together, supporting each other. This building is in disrepair. It's sort of forgotten, but we can't forget our history. And it takes people like Nancy and Brenda to stop and say, wait, there's something here. There's a story to tell. There is a history here that can't be forgotten, or else. Or else it repeats itself. So we're fortunate that we have the means to take this building and lovingly restore it. And that's what's going to start today. And of course, that wouldn't be happening if we didn't have the funds. And the funds are mostly coming out of something called the Community Preservation Fund. It's a tax when people buy property. It's a 2% tax. It generates a lot of money. And we use that money to buy open spaces, to protect beach access, water quality, to create recreation opportunities, and sometimes to restore historic buildings. That's one of the things that's allowable, and thank God we have that. Actually, I should say thank Fred Thiel, because he really led the fight, Assemblyman Fred Thiel, so that we would have those funds in place. And who knew? I don't think Fred imagined how much money it would generate. I think we're up to, in the town of Southampton, something like $700 million, right, Mary? Something. Mary Wilson is our CPF coordinator. She's here today. She's been very involved. I also, in addition to Mayor Irving, I see Trustee Yastrzemski here, and Trustee Allen is in the back, Kim Allen. Probably can't hear me over the weed whacker, but both to the village board, thank you for your cooperation. This is truly a partnership. So I'm happy to join with everybody here today. Congratulations. And today, come on in. Hey, Marguerite. Is that Marguerite? So I'm happy to be here at the groundbreaking. I want to be here at the ribbon cutting as well. It's going to be exciting. So make sure you guys let me know. Thank you all.
Brenda? Wow, you got here. It was a long road. And Nancy, your words are so inspiring, because we are a mixed community here, and we have new immigrants coming in, and those immigrants are experiencing the difficulties that all immigrants experience. It's a scary world when you enter another country and you have no idea what you're going to come up against, or you don't have family or friends. So, you know, your project here is the example of bringing a community together of all races, of all individuals. What a beautiful thing. What a great thing. and to give the history of the blacks that were in the village is very impressive, because you know we're also, Sammy's been looking at it, and the boards have been looking at the different zoning up in Hillcrest area. And when you look at it, it is so interesting because it was an area that was designed for more farm agricultural labor than anything else. And you know that obviously is changing, but your community is still staying up there, your community is still strong. So, you know, bless you all, you've done a great job. Can't wait to see the groundbreaking, can't wait to see the beginning of the construction, and can't wait to go inside. Thank you.
This is when I try not to cry. First, I want to again thank everybody for coming. And this is where I want to acknowledge some special people. I'm going to introduce my board eventually, but first, what I want to do is, I see Bonnie Cat and her mom here, and it wouldn't be right for me not to acknowledge them and to actually say that so I'm blaming everything on them at this point. It's actually her mom was the original one who wanted to start this museum. She said she wanted to make something out of this museum. And then Bonnie came to me and asked me about it. I came on board, and I taken it from there. So I want to also acknowledge Miss Cannon and Bonnie Cannon they're the start of all of this, to be honest. And I also want to introduce my board, Nancy Stephen-Smith. Could you please come forward? Brenda and Stephen Lake. I'm sorry, Luke and their son Stephen and Eddie and Shonda and Charles, who's behind the and Stephanie. Oh, I see you, Stephanie. And Miss Laura Davini. So this is my board, and they've been, as you know, I go away for a few months. And they've been so supportive in carrying things on for me, and I'm just so grateful to have them to be support for me. And also, I have to acknowledge Miss Mary Wilson. She's been with me from almost day one, seriously. And I really appreciate you. I want to let you know I really appreciate you. And I haven't forgotten CMAC. And CMAC, could you please come forward? He has definitely been by my side.
Yes, from the beginning.
And you know, I don't know, I've learned so much. I was assistant to the mayor for 11 years, so I learned some things. But if I got stuck on a few things and really didn't understand, I would go to CMAC, and he was always there. Between CMAC and Fred, I don't know what I've done, really. And another person I want to acknowledge, she doesn't know I'm going to acknowledge her, but Georgette Greer-Key. Come over here for a minute. Come on. She's a professional preservationist. And she knows her stuff. She knows her stuff. She's a little tough around the edges. But she knows her stuff. And I also want to acknowledge Matthew Zetlika. I got it right. He is our project historic, I know I was going to screw it up, historic consultant for this project. So, and also I have to acknowledge my BFF, Debbie. Hi, Debbie. 40 years of friends. And Jackie, everybody. Anyway, I'm just really want to thank everybody for coming. And at this point, we're going to put the shovel in the ground, and I hope I didn't leave anybody out that's here that I should have acknowledged. Dana, I like you too, a lot. Dana has, seriously though, Southampton Press has been so supportive of all of our projects. We've had like 11 years of film festivals, and they've been there and supportive and film, you know, and doing articles, and I'm very, very thankful for the Southampton Press. And your husband, Joe. Don't say it's out loud, but he's my boo too, you know. All right, and I have to just say real quick, he's going to be mad at me, but my friend is visiting me from St. Martin, Jason. I'd like to say hello. He acknowledged me from St. Martin. So if all said and done, we're going to do the ceremony and put the shovel in the ground.
Leaning on that shovel.
You ready?
it.